Welcome back, fans and friends, for this upcoming video. I have a Ford Mustang. So I previewed it in the last video, the Ford Performance version. So this is the slightly bigger bodied version, 1970, through Mach 1 351. Whether it is the Cleveland and or Windsor engine, we will see when I pop the hood. And so they advertise it there, the Mach 1. And so the Mach 1 here is the green light version. The Mach 1, separate spoiler, fastback rear end, and you can see there it just says this, but it's 1969. And so one of the better features of this car is its Cobra jet engine. We're familiar with the Eliminator, and how we know that is it literally says Cobra on the side of it, and thus we cannot mistake it for the 429 and everything else. And from the Hollywood Greenlight series, we have here John Wick's redressed. Although technically, to be fair, it can be a Boss 429 because they didn't have to buy this for the studio in the movie. And you can just see the engine in there. And then the most different but slightly related is the GT. This is from an earlier M2. Slightly earlier, I guess. So that's R76. This one will be R65, and this is just the basic GT. I do believe this is a rebuilt like the crate engine 5.0, what they call the Coyote engine, just because it doesn't match the looks of pretty much every other engine that I've seen inside one of these cars toys. So here we have Ford Performance. Don't need to say anything more than that. The 70s for the 70 years. Mach 1, Eagle Goodyear tires. Ford pretty much everywhere. Performance similar to that Camaro from the previous video, except you can see there a bit of a defect with that front decal there, and again for Performance. And they've decided to include the year on the license plate, which is fantastic. And then the Mach 1 above that, triple lights on either side, always good. So you can tell if a Mustang is done well or poorly. There used to be inserts, but I guess inserts became extremely expensive. And so now I do believe anyway, we'll open it and then we'll take a look, and you can see there a little bit of an issue with the hood not closing. And so we have Goodyear because the tires are nice and easy to see. ET wheels, and then it is a Ford product of this year. And ironically the 10th day of this year as well, so exactly the same day as that Camaro. 15270R. Anything else we need to know? Licensing information, die-cast scaling, and so we have brought up the fact that M2 and Greenlight scaling is not exactly the same for cars that are built to the same scale and are extremely close to the same model. And you can just see how easy it is to see into the Greenlight and not easy to see into that M2. And so I do believe I brought this up, that this window is foggy, so it's more of a translucent. It's a weird, you can just see there, looking out, how different my hand is. And what am I going to say? It's not the funny colored interior, it's just the way that plastic is made. Anyway, already 3 minutes and this thing is still not out yet. So, gonna go ahead and pop it out. As usual, one of the great things about M2, I don't have to constantly repeat it, but I will, is the fact that even when you open it, you technically don't open it because you can put it back in. Greenlight, obviously, that once you open that clamshell, you destroy everything. Hot Wheels. And so the one thing I will say though is that at least I am happy that this is not, they have not, the hood does not want to open at all. So it's sadly this, oh look at that. I hit the front thing there and it sort of reset itself, so it's obviously not very well glued in there. You can see it's a little bit offset with the hood, shaker hood there, which if you are a Dodge fan, you'll know what that means. I shouldn't say that with the Ford. Anyway, nothing about Ford on the top, unlike the Camaro. Piece of plastic for the windshield. I do believe, yeah, you see it does come off, so it is literally held in there with gravity and the stretching of the plastic. Also the spoiler is also plastic. We can see very good detail for the wipers Defroster is okay, clearly seen to the windshield, above average size steering wheel. The lights on this, like as I pointed out, they are actually inserts. The other ones. So yeah, so Ford, not Ford, M2 usually for their Mustangs actually they do have inserts. And so what I mean by that is this is just a paint over, where it's just a stamped piece of metal, they shove paint on it. While this thing is a separate piece, if I hit it hard enough it will come out and it'll be clear plastic. And obviously this piece here, you can see it's moving, so not brilliant, but that's what we got. That's what we got. Onto the left side, we have Mach 1, clearly written on the bottom left there. Ford Performance. The red is hard to see with the blue. Door handle painted on. We have actually a separate piece of plastic there for the rear window, and it just stretches into the little inlet here. There's the Ford logo. There's the rear indicator. Not rear indicator, yeah, turn signal. The normal tires, these are not the drag race tires, and you can just see there what I was talking about. The it's right underneath, and basically this cover here, when you glue it on, it gives it that 3D effect with the turning lights. You can just see there. We have the Mustang, somewhat easy to see, right below the Mach 1, and a black line through the middle of it. Like I said, the spoiler for once is not on a weird angle. 1970, I already brought up. The exhaust cutting into the shell of the car from the underside. And onto the right side, just quickly looking for the gas cap. I did not see it. And so here we have everything pretty much identical to the other side. We have the Ford, we have Ford Performance 70, Mach 1, nice and easy to see. Bumpers nice and level, which is great. And so I guess I will just open these doors. This one's fighting me. Usually one of them will fight and one of them will not. Yeah, you see, I don't get it. Why this one is like so easy and then this one doesn't wanna. And I don't want to break it. So fans and friends, if you remember, I did break a door on the Roadrunner. I did fix it with super glue. So for those of you who were appalled by my lack of tact, know that it is at least under the plastic case, it will not be further destroyed by me. And so here we have it, and I did bring it up before. This vehicle did get larger and larger as time wore on. We can just see it here beside this GT. You assume M2 uses the same scale for all those cars, sorry, all their vehicles that they make, and you can just see how much bigger it is. How much longer. And so I believe this would have been the second generation of them. No, so it's part of the first generation, but it's the third iteration of the same car. So the part, we will look underneath the vehicle, and obviously nothing else about 351. It just says cast line. There we have the date, manufacturer, and the wheels should roll reasonably well. Come on, it's a Ford Mustang, right? That's okay. It's not perfect, and it's a little bit of a wobble. And fixing these wheels is actually much harder than a green light. Not harder, it's actually more work, but it's not harder. And you can just see there what I brought up with the Camaro in the last one. This piece is the wide body version, and then the narrow one is if they had those drag wheels attached to it. Anyway, gonna pop the hood. Are we looking at, so to tell if it's a Cleveland or a Windsor will be extremely difficult because they have just basically put the largest air filter on it. To the right, it does look like the I believe the Windsor. The Cleveland has the sort of like a Camaro style air filter, but they're not all the same, so I can't say. But it's done much better than the Camaro because it is a light blue with black in the front to make it stand out inside the blue of the interior of the hood. We have no green light special in there. It appears both of the struts are painted, although you can see under there they basically missed the middle of it. You can see there the metal slag from it not being either filed or stamped properly. Always nice. And so there we have it, the 351 version of the Ford Mach 1. I do actually, because the engine's is the engine better, perhaps, but you can just see how much better this car. Not better. There's nothing like, you can see certain similarities, but at least with these two, they are reasonably the same size. I don't believe that the car grew 30% in 1 year to be that different. Even if this is the drag racing version of the car, it just looks so much bigger. And this is M2, right? It's not. I'm not going out of my way to make it a non-image. You can just see how loose the hood is. Perhaps it has sustained damage. The bar, there's a bar underneath there. And if it's the wobble and the looseness worries me. Anyway, you've already watched 11 minutes of this, and I thank you for it. This is Thomas from Toronto. The 1974 Mustang from M2. Thanks for watching, and to the next one.